Hey everybody, it's Will.
And this is Thomas.
And we're back at the virtual spinner rack. This week we are going to discover the first appearance of Kiss in comics. Okay. And it's in the ever astounding literal genius that is Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. It really was, dude. It was so far ahead of its time. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a set I finished up a while back, dude. I love Howard the Duck. Even all the way up to, I think I've got 232s now. The final issue that was published like 10 years after the final issue of the original series.
Wow.
The one with the bowling cover.
I don't remember that one. I didn't realize Howard the Duck went that high up.
Yeah, it's like 30. I think it went 31 or 32 issues regular, and then there's another one that's like it's 32 or 33 is the number, but it's like 10 years after the end of the original original series.
I thought you said 232.
Oh no, not like 32. No.
So 232 runs or something.
Yeah, no. That's my allergies. I'm in Georgia. We are in the middle of the pollen apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you live in the woods.
And you live in the freaking woods for sure.
Yes, I do. I live a mile down a dirt road. We live in the woods. But yeah, I mean, I love the animal cartoon books. They're funny and everything. This one actually it's funny, but it's not, it's not hysterical funny. But Colin was incredible too on this series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody's ever, really dug into it. And then Gerber is just fantastic. The whole crap between him and Marvel, though, that's another. Dude, we could do a whole show on how bad they screwed Gerber over.
You do a whole show on how bad. We could do an entire season on how bad Marvel and DC have screwed over everyone.
Oh yeah, I mean, the thing that's so funny is if people start ever really getting into it, then they understand. You get freaking Jack Kirby did an entire Duck themed comic just to raise money for Gerber's legal fees to try and get the rights to Howard the Duck.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, have we got we got to do our sponsor today first?
Oh yeah, I just woke up from a nap. I'm like forgetting all kinds of shit.
I'll try and remind you.
Yeah, good job. Let's see. Branding. Oh, there it is. It got smaller. And today we are sponsored by, of course, Inked Marketing Team. If you are a comic book creator or an artist getting ready to release an art book, either on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, contact our friends over at the Inked Marketing Team. They can bring you from start to finish with an awesome game plan. They've been in the business over 35 years. Plenty of know-how and tools at their disposal, including the NSC Roadshow, getting you and your product onto podcasts, much like this, and creators outlet from all over the globe. Check them out for yourself, Inked Marketing Team. And now, on with the show.
Yep. So, now we did mention it's issue 12 and 13, Howard the Duck. Kiss does make their first appearance in this issue. Actually, we're going to pull the Hulk 180, 181 thing. It's the first cameo appearance.
Yeah.
And as you can see on the cover here, Howard looks like he's actually strapped in a padded cell, and he's going, remember the good old days before they put you away? Before your head. You had Duck's head.
Straight jackets.
Yep. But yeah, dude, I mean, Colin was so good.
Cliff Wayne. Okay, Boomer is sponsored by Old School Comics, the site where everyone is right, especially if you are over 40. Hell
That's
yeah!
what we need. That's what we need to hear. Oh. What's funny too is I thought about it more as I was reading this earlier. Talk about how good Colin is the fact that just a few years before this he was doing Daredevil and a freaking Avengers, and I mean he was drawing a lot of the really big titles at Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean really anything they needed he was doing. Yeah, I mean it was him and Buscema. Romita only really did, he did some Kazar and then he did Spider-Man, because this is after Kirby and Ditka had left. And, they still had that core group of artists.
Mhm.
And even with all that stuff, they say, Howard the Duck and freaking Tomb of Dracula are supposed to be Colin's best work.
Yeah.
And Tomb of Dracula is incredible.
And Kirby went over to DC to do some awesome stuff.
You're not going to talk about the 4-hour Justice League movie, are you?
Please don't.
Please don't. Well, we're not going to talk about a 4-hour My Little Pony movie.
They haven't made a 4-hour My Little Pony movie yet.
Well, there is if my daughter was 4. She just keep rewinding the damn thing.
She just keeps winding the thing.
So,
all right. So this issue. Go ahead.
Gene was definitely underappreciated. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
The
thing is you get around there and you look, and I've even read some stuff. People said that because apparently he did love books back in the day, like Romita. He was doing the romance novels, and when he was doing the comic work, he would start. And I never really noticed it until someone brought it up, and that tells you how you notice it.
Whoops! Looks like Cliff wants to talk about the JLA 4-hour movie.
Did you? Cliff actually loved the JLA 4-hour movie. I've only watched an hour and a half of it. My wife stayed up to watch the rest of it. Some of us have to get up and go to work the next day. So I missed it. But how he would start with the panels, and they would be huge at the beginning of the book. And then as he would get toward the end of the book, especially earlier in his career, they would get smaller because he'd have to cram the rest of the story in.
Mm-hmm.
But so it opens up, and it looks like Howard, honestly, he's on a bad trip or something. I mean, freaking got space planets in the background, weird noises, and it's like, he's, his mind has turned to mush. And we see him, he falls off, and then we quickly discover he's in jail. And he's in jail, and he's got a bunkmate who, gives him a cigarette because he asked for a cigar, but he doesn't have one. And he's asking, what the hell's going on? And Howard literally doesn't know how he got here. We don't either because we didn't read the previous issue, but we know that somehow Howard has managed to get into jail.
Might have had something to do with alcohol and women.
Yeah, it may have something to do with alcohol or whatever. We find out in a little bit some of what went on to get him in jail, but not the whole story. The other thing that I noticed reading this one, because I actually read it earlier today, but not right before the podcast, but earlier today after lunch. I don't think everyone was doing it at this time, but we talk about Gerber's writing, because Gerber was just really good as far as boiling down and making social commentary and all this. That's why Howard the Duck was so popular. And it was such an underground character to it, even through Stan Lee, a curveball when he would show up at, colleges, and people were like, hey, what about Howard the Duck? And he's wanting to talk about Iron Man and Thor and everybody else. And they're like, who the hell is Howard the Duck? He didn't know, but at that point he had moved out of the offices, because here, it's Roy Thomas was the main editor-in-chief at this point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Thomas, and they didn't know. But Gerber actually, not only is he doing the social commentary, if you look throughout the book, he's actually writing in a dialect so that everyone kind of sounds a little different, a visual dialect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love how Howard says, I've actually never smoked, but he says, hey, the cigarettes taste like freaking sawdust wrapped up in toilet paper or something. He takes a big puff on it and starts gagging, and the cop
Turning
comes in
green.
and drags him. Yeah, he's turning green. Drags him to the into the courtroom. And all of this, I guess, from the way I read the book, is his mind as he's just thinking about things. It's just his mind is constantly turning over everything that's going on to him.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets drugged to the court, and here's the lady I was thinking about the most. She says, "Goodness gracious, Mr. Duck,
Oh
how
yeah,
Dwan and be able you."
I had a hell of a time trying to read her dialogue.
Really? Yeah. You could tell. Yeah, she's got that really high squeaky voice, and so you get there. She gets thrown in front of the judge, who is he's old hard nosed judge. They actually call him like the what do they call him over here, the Honorable Hiram Don't Give Me No Bologna hanging judge. So he's not one of those kind of people. So Howard gets thrown there with his companion there, and he doesn't really remember everything that's going on. And there's another lady who apparently they got into a big fight with on the bus. We don't know exactly, but her name's Mamie Eisenhower. The kidney thief or some crap. It's really weird. And so Howard's, pleading his case. He says, y'all can't believe this woman, she started it. And of course, the judge, finally he's like, hey, why are y'all all trying to go to Cleveland? That's the other thing. Gerber's very specific on where he's going throughout the whole book. Howard the Duck fans know a lot of the early stories actually take place in Cleveland. So they're going to go back to Cleveland, and they were on the bus. So Mrs. Kidney Thief there goes to talk, and then they bring up Howard's companion, who stands up and says, she was trying to stop the hostess, and they finally got upset, and she's actually trying to get to Cleveland because her parents think that she's possessed by the devil, and just like, really. So he asked to hear from the kidney thief to see exactly what her story is. And you see time rolls back there. Nice little ad there. Back to 1941.
Mm-hmm.
I literally thought this was going to be a Flannery O'Connor story here for a minute, where the Bible salesman comes up and, asks if her parents are there, and she's not. And, oh, God, I'm in love. So, they make hanky-panky, and he sweeps her off to the big city, Cleveland, and wines and dines her, and gives her everything she wants and treats her like a woman. And then within just a little, few days later, she wakes up and the love of her life is gone. And he leaves her a note. He says, sorry, sweets, I've been drafted. See to the tab. And of course, we never know what happens after that. But she's been missing the love of her life, who was drafted in World War II. And she's got the farewell note and book, and it's The Human Kidney, Seed of the Soul. I guess that's got to be something that I'm missing on that one. It must be a book that was big at the time, or a play on something.
Mm-hmm.
No more input on that one.
So she's going around stealing kidneys because he left her a kidney book, and she's trying to, find her soulmate by stealing other people's kidneys.
I guess I'm not sure on that one.
Well, that makes about as much sense as everything else in Howard the Duck. So,
come on now. So she starts crying, and I couldn't have been committed a crime. Obviously, it's got to be the guy that's the duck. What's funny is when you read this, even to this point, which by this point Howard's already run for president,
mm-hmm.
and that was in like issue 8 or 9. He got thrown out of the he actually got thrown out of being a presidential candidate because somebody photographed him and Bev in a freaking tub together. It was scandalous, so he had to quit running for president. But everyone in the book still thinks that he's a midget in a duck suit. What?
Yep.
I mean, still. So the judge is finally like, okay, so the sweet lady obviously couldn't hurt anybody, so they let her go. And Howard, of course, protests. And when he protests, the cops decide to, beat him up because he's just a duck.
Mm-hmm.
And then they
run
commit
amok.
him. Yep, a duck run amok. They commit him and his partner to the insane asylum, the mental facility, for observation to see what's wrong. And the lady's like, oh, I got away. Watch out for your kidneys. So there she goes. And
Mm-hmm.
Howard and his friend are run across. You really had a problem reading her dialogue, huh?
Yeah, I had to try to figure it out. Like some words are fine, and then other words, it's like talking to somebody in Georgia that lives down a 10-mile dirt road.
Come on now. Dang it. All right, so they show up at the mental hospital, and they're inside. And of course, they're getting checked in, and everybody's, look, Barbara, he's a duck. He says, and she says, technically, he's a drake. He's male of the species, so she just turns him over to the guy. So, what's his name? Clyde or Klein, something like that. So he takes him, and they go, and of course, they have him change clothes, and he has his companion has to go with the woman, and they change clothes, and then they get seen to their room, and he throws him in there. You'll be my favorites. And he says, I don't want, the guy tells him he doesn't want any crap from him, and then everything will be good. And this is where it really starts to get interesting. So Howard gets changed into it. He gets thrown into the actual padded room, and he's locked in there with his own thoughts. And you could see him going crazy. This is a great page, dude.
Mm-hmm.
This is really good. I mean, all the colors have been bleeded out. You've got all of he's talking, and then his mind just keeps talking to himself. Celia, Dr. Celia, Wanda, anybody, and nobody hears him. Yeah, Gene.
Because it's incredible. A padded cell.
Yeah, nobody hears him because he's padded. Matter of fact, they don't hear him until next page. He actually starts panicking. He has an attack, and he's banging on the door. And the guy, he opens it up, and he's like, hey, buddy, what the world, calm down, and everything will be all right. And he asked him, hey, I've got some medicine. If you want to take it, it'll help, knock the ease off of it. And Howard tells him, hey, look, dude, I don't even take aspirin. He says, well, that's it. You got it. So he throws Howard back in the damn padded cell and slams the door again. And when he slams the door, he goes out there, and he speaks to the other nurse, and she's like, hey, he's like, give me just a minute, and we'll see how long it takes him. And they do the little countdown there, and then Howard starts going crazy again in there with the cell. So he opens up. Yep, the famous dude. So he opens the door and gives Howard the tranks, who he is now more than willing to take the damn tranquilizers. He just downs them. And then we switch to the psychiatrist. We leave Howard now tranked in his padded cell, and there's a psychiatrist who's asking his companion there, so your parents really think you're possessed by the devil? And she says she just likes to make funny faces and noises, and it's all therapeutic. And she's actually on the way to Cleveland, like I said, to see an exorcist and get exorcised. But the guy's like, no, everything's fine with you. Yeah, we'll have somebody look at you. But she's all marooned, and he talks to her about. They actually try and contact her parents from the address they gave her, and see, this is what makes me think she's a little off too, because when he says, "Hey, I've contacted your previous house," there's no house, no parents, nobody there. It's a vacant lot. And she's like, "Oh no, they've moved. They've taken everything. They packed up the house and everything, and they've left me abandoned." No, I think something's wrong with this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, she is
But
roaming the
he
country
says,
with a
hey,
duck.
look. Hey, Bev did that for a while. Uh, and actually, like I said, I told you the other day when you were like, "Hey, we're gonna read Howard the Duck." Like, okay, let me get them, download them, and I went ahead and read issue 14, which I got the cover in here, but we're not gonna touch on issue 14. It was great. Bev's back in 14, but so the guy's like, "Hey, we're gonna have you see a psychiatrist. We're gonna look at it, see what we can do," and he lets her go, and then they bring in Howard, and Howard is so tranked he can't even say anything. He's just out of it, just dead flat. And so while he's in there, the doctor's trying to talk to him, and hey, you can't scare me. They say you're a duck, but my son wore a duck costume, very realistic. They all still think he's a midget in duck costume. And he said, "We'll get
For
you looked
now.
at too. We'll try and get this out." For now, yeah. That for now they do, and that's the thing. They say, well, he's compensating. He's upset because he's short. I've never been short, so I guess I don't have this problem. But he's like, "Hey, so you're short, so you're trying to stand out, so you wear this damn duck costume." No, he's a duck. But so they're talking, and then there's a screen from out in the hallway, and of course everybody heads out into the hallway, and then there's Kiss. Looks like they're coming out of some kind of smoke out of his friend's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a pretty good rendition of Kiss. It would be
The demons in her
after the
head.
next, the demons in her head. It would be after the next issue where they do actual Kiss 1. But these are the demons in her head. Changed leathers and petunias.
It's because of the Kiss craze at the time. Because I was just a kid when these came
Oh,
out,
well,
and
this is 77.
yeah, so people were going, Kiss. It was the Kiss explosion, so the Kiss Army was in full effect and everything else. So, I mean,
Oh,
they saw, these books ended up flying off the shelf. When kids discovered they were in there, like, dude, Kiss is in Howard the Duck, and everybody's, what the fuck is Howard the Duck, man? It's a comic book.
Yeah. And why the hell is Kiss in Howard's Duck?
It's a comic book, man. And they're going to be in the next issue, too.
They just throw it in there. It just comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, dude, I mean, I know I actually we had this discussion at work a while back, and they were like, hey, somebody was joking because I put it on the classic station at work. Everybody else puts it on like modern music, hip hop and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of it gives me a headache. So I put it on the classics, which is usually 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s music. So we're talking our stuff,
Oldies.
Kiss, Zeppelin, oldies, they don't play enough Zeppelin, but nobody ever does. Eagles, you can play Zeppelin all day long. It'd be fine with me. And they play Kiss, and one of the younger guys was joking at me one day. They actually recognized Kiss. They're like, "I bet you dressed up as Kiss one day when you were little, didn't you?" And I told them, yes, I actually have pictures of all of us in Kiss makeup on a Halloween costume for Halloween one year.
Yep.
I was Starman, I think it was. But Kiss and Tell in the Psycho Ward is issue 13, The Omen of an Exorcist. But yeah, unless you knew it was Kiss from the previous issue, 77. Trapped in a world he never made. And then there it is, rock and roll over and writhed as they come in, and everybody's hauling ass. This is still, actually, Gerber is editing his own stuff here. So, Roy Thomas had just let him do whatever he wanted to at this point then. So there's Steve Gerber, writer, editor, Colin, and I can't ever say his name, Anchor. What's funny is all... Do what?
You said Anchor just fine.
Damn it. Yeah. What's funny is all this crap's going on. Everybody's going crazy, running left and right. And Howard is still so tranked. He's just like, what? Yeah. I don't think I've ever taken that much medicine. I love how the guys from Kiss all of a sudden get superpowers. Starman shoots lasers from his eye.
As soon as I read this, I'm like, would this have been the second movie after Kiss and the Phantom of the Park? Because that's what Stanley did. It's like he shot like a laser beam out of his star eye.
Really? I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, so they're all going crazy, and he's Starman there zaps him with or Stanley zaps him with his laser beam out of his eye, and they managed to get up to Howard the Duck, and what did they call him? The guy with the whiskers?
Catman.
Was it just Cat Guy?
Catman.
Yeah.
Catman. Peter Criss.
Yeah. So Catman gets up to him and he whispers in it. He's like, the word is when you meet reality head on, kiss it, smack in the face. That's the word. Pass it on. And Howard's so damn tranked out of it, he's like, huh? And then, like, all the smoke, the little demons inside of her head or whatever, go back inside. But before they do, somebody manages to grab a Polaroid and snap a picture for a record for posterity.
Yeah. Oh my God! Kiss is in the insane asylum. Get a picture.
And then they actually show the little picture of Kiss and Howard in the very next issue on the top page. And we go back here, and now we've got the female worker at the insane asylum is giving the pictures to a mysterious director of the insane asylum. I told you who this is, but I'll remind you at the end.
Dr. Reich.
Yeah, Dr. Reich. Yeah, nothing Dr. Reich. So you've uncovered some juicy tidbit of information. So then she gives the rest, X-rays number 62 of Howard the Duck. And he says, he is, the X-rays of der Doomkopf is the duck. It's not a duck suit. And she climbs up on the desk and, she's got the cleavage showing and everything else. And he's like, get off the desk. Who do you think you are? And she's standing there. Of course, he's doing all the evil minion thing. And he tells her, wear another suit. Don't wear that ridiculous get up, and lose the Elton John glasses, chick. You'd look a lot better without them.
Yeah.
Earrings are okay. It's not in there. I just added that part. So the earrings are fine. The Elton John glasses got to go. So she leaves.
Night's all right for fighting. Okay.
And for some reason, now they've managed to throw Howard and his friend in the same room. And Howard is still just zonked out of it. but it's starting. The tranks are starting to wear off.
You seeing butterflies floating around, and
Yeah, he's still seeing butterflies and all kind of craziness. Yeah, and then, so as he's coming out of it, she tells him that there was violence and everything that went on, and you know he says maybe I've been thinking maybe everybody's been right, that the doctors, even the kidney lady, maybe he's losing his mind. Howard's starting to question his own sanity. And now we get a little brief history of Howard, before the actual first appearance in way back in Journey into Fear number 19. I can never get one at a nice price, not one that I want anyway. Howard's actually having a mental breakdown here. He was born, he talks about his parents wanting to be a lawyer, and he's just a bum, which that's all he's been in the whole series. He tries to get a job, and he never can hold a job in the series. The whole thing. But his companion, snuggles him, and she's like, it'll be all right. And then we flash away from Howard and them. We go back to the Elton John lady as she heads up to see the actual psychiatrist. And, he's, not before you enter. She rushes in and she's like, the director says that you're not supposed to have anyone come and look at any of the people, especially the woman that supposedly is got the demons, possession into them. Is possessed by demons. Can't have anybody look at her. You have to cancel any invitation, anything. Well, when he gets in there, finds out that, hey, it's too damn late. He's already reached out to Hellstrom, Damien Hellstrom. And, dude, I've got to read some more Hellstrom, because the way he's written here, it really reminds me of, Jason Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought Hellstrom was always the way he was. Because that's the way he is, in modern Avengers today. It's kind of just a different character. I kind of like this take on the character a little bit better. So she comes in and she talks to him. Oh, so there you are. And he said, yeah, I'm willing to examine the girl. We'll find out. It won't take but a minute to see if she's actually possessed by a demon or not. And now we see what's going on behind the scenes. So the director and the female associate are actually fighting with the psychiatrist about what should go on at the hospital. And but they're going to go ahead and let Hellstrom examine her for no charge. She makes sure that it'll be okay if you don't charge us. So he goes in. He tells her it'll be just a moment, and he's going to look into her soul and see if she's actually possessed by a demon of some sort. And just by touching her, he's able to do such. And then he realizes, yep, no, she's clean. She's not possessed by any demons or anything, but she does have some kind of latent psychic ability that can cause these hallucinations, that cause the hallucinations in the corridor. So hearing that, the actual doctor's like, well, we'll get rid of her. I'm going to go sign the forms. You'll be free to go. And when they go to turn, they're going to leave Doc and or Howard the Duck, and they're like, hey man, what's up with me? And they're going to discuss that as they head down the hallway. But when they get out to the front door, where Damien's going to leave, here come some, the sun symbol kids, right here. Now, did you get what he's making a reference on here?
Jesus Freaks.
Huh?
The Jesus Freaks.
Which ones?
The ones in the sun shirts.
Yeah. I mean, what was their real name? You remember?
No.
They were the Moonies. Reverend, yeah, because they're the followers of Reverend June Moon Yuck, or whatever, Yuck. And but they were Moonies. That's essentially what this is. And apparently he had made an appearance way back in Howard the Duck number 6, which I have forgotten, but the Reverend did. And he was supposedly died in a house fire. So when all of them show up, they find out they're here with the Reverend, and she's going to examine the patients. They're going to examine Wenda. And when the psychiatrist and Damien hear that, they rush back in there, and they see what's going on. Howard and Wenda are being attacked, and they're going to be drugged down to the basement and examined by the Reverend. Of course, Howard tries to fight back, but he's a duck. It doesn't work, and he gets pimp slap up against the wall and passes out for a minute. And then we get down to the basement, and at the office, here's the Reverend, the director, and then he shows up, the female associate at the hospital shows up in a leather jacket now and gets told to put a belt on it, tighten it at the waist, you would look a lot better. And then the next scene, like I said, we're back in the basement, and the Reverend is telling her that, you've got to have a little pleasure and pain to drive out the demons in you. That way you recognize, what hurts you, it'll actually help heal you. And he starts beating her with damn petunias, which is a little weird. You passing out on me?
No, I was just reading something I got in my hand that you can't see.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so they're trying to draw out the demons in her, and Damien shows up with a psychiatrist in tow, and the Reverend turns on them, and as Damien makes an actual, the sign of the trident, this wind comes in, and Howard, of course, manages to stumble onto the scene, and we find out that the Reverend has studied black magic himself. Mm-hmm. And he causes a giant wind to come up. And then, Damien's like, hey, what's going on? I didn't change. And we realize that the son of Satan, or the spirit of the son of Satan, however you want to say that, has been transferred into Howard the Duck.
And of course, the Reverend was trying to get it transferred into himself.
Or something like that, yeah. So, or blowed it away so that Damien wouldn't be there. But it gets, transferred into Howard the Duck, and that's the Duck Possessed, which I actually read that the next issue, and I just included the cover because the cover's badass.
And this is where we find out that Director Reich of the insane asylum is actually Hitler.
Yes, you remembered. Yeah, I told you. Yeah, the director's actually Adolf Hitler. Like, really? And that's the kind of craziness that is so much fun about reading like Howard the Duck, man, is, you don't know what you're going to get. Some of it will be just, really, make you stop and think. Some of it's just off the wall. But yeah, the damn director of the insane asylum outside of Cleveland is freaking Adolf Hitler. And I read issue 14, man, but it's just like the other one. Howard, now with the power of, the son of Satan, he pretty much lays waste to everybody in the damn insane asylum and flies off looking for Bev because he's mad because, she's abandoned him. But the thing is even though these are kind of wordy, especially based on modern comics, they were a real easy read to me. Even the dialect, I didn't have an issue with.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Every now and then something. Colin's art, he's just really one of my favorites. Cliff's right. He was really underappreciated. But I don't get it. And the fact that he draws Howard so well, man, he looks so much like Donald, and I understand he's supposed to, but Colin is doing his best Barks imitation. Mm-hmm. Especially in some of these, now some of the first, this Kiss picture isn't the best, but like this is much better here. But that's just how, I guess how he's trying to squeeze everything in, and that's really wild page. But yeah, I mean, I like Daffy and not Daffy, but Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge, and like I say, Carl Barks, does a very similar Duck, and you can tell it. The modern version doesn't. They tried to make him look a lot less like Donald Duck, and in particular Donald Duck, and I don't think it holds up as well.
Well,
for the
no,
most
they,
part.
they wanted to do that because Disney is an evil empire and they don't want to get sued.
But I mean, that's the thing; they shouldn't have to worry about that anymore because
They're owned by the same company. So
yeah, they're owned by the same company now. Just returning to this, that's like in the issue 33 of Howard the Duck. I think it's 32 or 33. The issue by Bolin, I believe, if I remember right, he's actually wearing pants because they had got into that big the big hoopla that Howard the Duck needs to wear pants to distinguish himself from Donald and the rest of them. But I like it, dude. I still love this page. This is really cool. All the crazy panels, his eyes going psycho. But yeah, I haven't read a whole lot of comics lately, but I read 3 issues of Howard the Duck pretty much in the last couple of days. I read these. But the whole thing, this is because Gerber and Colin were doing the story and they had so much input in it. This is a continuous story. We'd have to go back and read 11 to find out what happens there because 14, the Duck Possessed is just a continuation of this same story.
Mm-hmm.
He does reunite with Bev. I love he gets so angry.
Yeah, the one eye over.
The one eye, the big one eye, and then the small eye. He's
call that the stink eye.
The stink eye.
Getting the stink eye.
Yeah, he knows. He knows this woman's fixing to lay it on thick. A frail old woman possibly being situated in a brawl on the aisle of a bus.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of weird you picked this one out. But I was like, hey man, I could read Howard the Duck all the time. But how much of it have you read before?
None. I just knew Kiss's first appearance was in Howard the Duck.
Really, that was it?
That was it.
Yeah.
The only Howard the Duck I actually read was the newer version.
Yeah, by Chip Zdarsky, however you want to say it.
Yeah, Chip.
Yeah, by Chip. Yeah. See, I'm glad I'm not the only one that has problems sometimes. But yeah, I've got that whole series. That's a good series. I did manage to recently pick up the Marvel team up with Spider-Man and Howard the Duck, but I haven't had a chance to read it. And I got a couple issues of the Howard the Duck magazine, which, being that it was a magazine, it skirted the actual Comics Code authority, so it's a little racier than the actual series itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's actually drawn by Colin as well.
I came across another Marvel magazine today. And
Which one?
Well, I'd have to go get it.
Oh, okay.
It's the prelude to Iron Fist having his own series.
Oh, sweet.
Masters of Kung Fu magazine, number 18 or 19.
Yeah, Masters of Kung Fu magazine. Yeah. Masters of Kung Fu or Deadly Hands of Kung Fu?
Well, it was a magazine, not the comic book.
Okay.
So
I can't remember them.
I
know we were talking.
We'll end the stream once we figure out what you want us to read next week.
Oh, I get to pick next week.
Sure.
All right, so we've done some independents, we've done Marvel. Let's go back and do DC. Actually, I was watching HBO Max, and I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you have HBO Max, but
Nope.
okay, HBO Max. That's where you can watch the 4-hour Justice League movie if you want to, but I didn't. They have remastered Superman the animated series, and I started watching those the other day, and the uh, they had first appearance of Metallo in there, and they also do first appearance of Parasite in the animated universe. So let's do Action Comics 340, first Parasite.
Okay.
Okay, no. All right,
Sure
I'll
enough.
get it up to you. Good enough. We'll go back and do some Superman.
Yeah. Okay. So next Thursday we'll be back here with the first appearance of the Parasite in Action Comics, starring Superman.
Yep.
Damn Boy Scout. So until next week, we will see you later. I should be back tomorrow night with a new episode of Creators Outlet. Also tomorrow night, the CromCon kicks off, which is hosted by the comic-related Madness, and I always share out the live feed to the Outright Geekery page, and there'll be plenty of comic creators, independent and otherwise, and various other guests on there. They're doing a special kickoff show tomorrow night with Sugar Crisp and Pops. I know it sounds like an old breakfast cereal, but it's not. You got to tune in for that. And then it goes uh, from noon to midnight on Saturday and Sunday, both days. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, then until then, we'll see you
Until
next
then,
week.
peace, love, and read some comic books.